You ever feel like there's just a hole in your wallet? Well, today, we're going to dive deep into the psychology of overspending. We're talking about the hidden forces that just seem to drain our bank accounts. And I'll show you why it has a lot less to do with willpower and a whole lot more to do with how our brains are actually wired.
I mean, does this question sound familiar? You look at your bank account and you just think, where did my money go? It just doesn't add up, right? You got your paycheck, you didn't buy a car or anything, but somehow, poof, the money's just gone. If that sounds like you, trust me, you are not alone.
And that brings us to the most important point we're going to cover. This whole thing, this feeling of overspending, it's not you being irresponsible. It's not some moral failing. It's psychology. For real. Your brain is often working against your budget, and most of the time, you don't even see it happening.
Okay, so first up, let's talk about what I call the overspending illusion. We're going to look at exactly why your brain is designed to work against your budget. And we'll start with the biggest factor from the outside world, the people you hang out with.
It's this thing called social nudging. Think about it. If your friends are always going out to eat or jetting off on trips, you feel this powerful pull to do the same thing, don't you? And listen, this is not a personality flaw. It's actually an evolutionary trait. I mean, there are studies that show if your friends start spending more on, say, restaurants, your spending in that same category can jump by over 30%. And you won't even realize you're being influenced. Your brain just gets nudged, not because you need it, but because it just feels normal.
All right, so let's move on from the outside world and look inward. Let's talk about your brain on spending and the hidden triggers that are secretly pulling the strings on your wallet.
So your brain wants a quick reward. It doesn't matter if you're stressed, bored, sad, or even super happy, your brain is always looking for that little hit of dopamine. And what's the easiest, fastest way to get it? A small purchase. You know what I'm talking about. Ordering food delivery, adding something to that online cart, grabbing that little treat at the store. In the moment, it feels completely harmless, right? But man, they add up so quietly.
And here's the crazy part. We're most vulnerable at a very specific time. It's what I call the weekend mindset. See, during the week, you're probably in what we can call logic mode. You're focused, you're disciplined, you're packing your lunch to save a few bucks. But then, Friday hits, and your brain just flips a switch. Suddenly, you're in reward mode, and all that logic goes out the window, replaced by, hey, I worked hard all week, I deserve this. And that I deserve it mindset, that's probably the biggest leak in your entire budget.
But it's not just the big weekend splurges. Oh no, there's another category of spending that's doing some serious damage. So let's talk about the really sneaky money drains, the silent killers hiding in your budget. I'm talking about those tiny little expenses that just fly completely under the radar. Things like subscriptions you totally forgot you had, those random snacks you grab, extra fees for food delivery, small impulse buys, even just convenience costs like taking a cab instead of the bus. On their own, every single one of them seems totally insignificant.
And that is exactly why they're so dangerous. Because they don't hurt in the moment, A few bucks here, a few bucks there. It doesn't set off any alarm bells when you swipe your card. The damage is completely invisible until you look at your statement at the end of the month. So here's the bottom line. Your brain loves simplicity. It wants the easy way out. And if you're not tracking your spending, if you don't have a clear picture, it just defaults to the easiest path, which is always spend first, think later. And that's why overspending feels like something that just happens to you instead of a choice you're actively making.
Okay, so we've spent a lot of time talking about the problem. What about the fix? Well, the solution is actually way simpler than you think. It's not about restriction. It's all about awareness. It's about clarity. Let's break that down. The old school way of thinking is all about restriction, right? Setting up these painful rules that just make you feel deprived. But the path that actually works is awareness. It's just seeing where your money is going. When you have that clarity, you're empowered to make intentional choices. These aren't forced sacrifices. So how much effort are we talking about here to build this kind of awareness? Get this, 3 minutes. 3 minutes a week. That is it. Just a super simple, quick check-in is all it takes to flip your brain's default switch from spend mode over to a much more conscious, controlled state. All right, last part. Let's talk about building your system. Because this is where that simple little act of awareness turns into a seriously powerful habit, one that makes that accidental overspending, well, pretty much impossible. Okay, so once you start doing that weekly check-in, everything starts to change. First, you actually see the leaks. You realize that daily coffee isn't just a few bucks, it's $50 a month.
The silent killers, they're not so silent anymore. Second, you take back control of your weekends. You start asking yourself, do I really want this $100 dinner? Or would a $30 pizza with friends be just as awesome? You're still having fun, but you're doing it on purpose. Third, you can actually plan for your fun money so you don't feel guilty about it. And finally, and this is the big one, your decisions become intentional. They stop being so emotional.
So, I'm going to leave you with this one. Simple question to think about. When you look at your own habits, is your spending accidental? Is it just happening to you by default? Or is it intentional? Is it being driven by choices you are making? Because that shift from accidental to intentional, that's where real financial control actually begins.